You're sitting at a sidewalk cafe in Vienna, sipping coffee, watching the crowd, and nobody knows you're carrying 3 different passports. The couple next to you is arguing about dinner plans. The waiter thinks you're a Swiss businessman, but 40 minutes from now you'll be inside a hotel room extracting intelligence that could reshape the security of an entire nation. You didn't get here by accident. You were chosen, tested, broken down, and rebuilt. This is what it's like to be every Mossad operative rank. This video is a dramatization for entertainment and educational purposes. The details presented are based on publicly available information, declassified accounts, and investigative journalism. Specific operational methods remain classified. Israel's Mossad, formerly known as Hamossad, Lemodian Ule Tafkidim Meyuhadim, the Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations, is one of the most formidable intelligence agencies ever created. Founded in 1949, it reports directly to the Prime Minister and operates with a mandate that spans the globe. Today, we're walking through every level of this shadowed organization, from the raw recruit who hasn't earned a thing, to the individual who carries the weight of a nation's survival on their shoulders. Let's begin. You almost didn't make it through the door. Out of thousands of Israeli citizens quietly evaluated every year, only a handful are ever approached. Maybe it was your military record in the IDF. Maybe it was a language you speak, a cultural background that makes you useful, or a psychological profile that flagged something rare. The ability to lie convincingly while remaining fundamentally loyal. Whatever it was, a quiet conversation followed. Then, an invitation. Now you're a cadet. The Mossad Academy doesn't publish brochures. Your training facility doesn't appear on any map. For months, your life is consumed by psychological evaluations, surveillance exercises, language immersion, and scenario testing that blurs the line between classroom and real operation. You learn to read people, micro-expressions, vocal stress, the way someone shifts their weight when they're hiding something. You learn to build a cover identity so airtight that you could pass a foreign customs interrogation without raising a single flag. And you learn something harder than all of it, how to be completely alone. Because from this point on, you can't tell your parents where you work. Your friends think you have a boring government desk job. The person you're dating may never know the truth. That silence is the first real test. Not everyone can carry it. The ones who can't wash out quietly. But you hold the weight. And that's exactly why they chose you. 6 months after graduation, you step off a plane in a city you've never visited, carrying a name that isn't yours. You're a junior Katsa now, a case officer, and the field is nothing like the academy. Your primary mission is human intelligence, finding people who have access to secrets and convincing them to share those secrets with you. That sounds clinical on paper. In practice, it's the most human work imaginable. You're sitting across from a mid-level engineer in Tehran's aerospace program. He's nervous. He has a family. He didn't ask for this, but he has grievances with his government, and you've spent weeks learning exactly what those grievances are. You don't threaten him. You don't bribe him. Not yet. You build trust, slowly, carefully, in a series of meetings disguised as coincidences. A shared taxi, a conversation at a conference. Each encounter is choreographed to feel natural, and each one brings him one step closer to cooperation. Meanwhile, you're also managing your own survival. Counterintelligence services in your host country are always watching for anomalies. A foreigner who stays too long, who asks too many questions, who doesn't quite fit. One mistake, one inconsistency in your cover, and the operation collapses. Or worse, you disappear. The pressure never lets up. But your first successful recruitment, the moment an asset agrees to work with you, is a feeling you'll carry for the rest of your career. You've just opened a window into a closed world, and Mossad is watching your results very carefully. You've been living under a cover identity for so long that your real name feels foreign on your own tongue. As a senior Katsa, you're no longer handling a single asset in a single country. You're managing networks. 3 agents in one capital, 2 in another, a technical source who delivers satellite data through a dead drop behind a bakery in Istanbul. Each one of these people is risking their life to provide information, and you are the only thread connecting them to safety. The stakes have shifted. A junior officer loses an asset and it's a setback. A senior officer loses an asset and people can die. The asset, their family, maybe even colleagues who are connected to the same network. You carry that knowledge into every meeting, every encrypted message, e-office, very late-night phone call on a device that will be destroyed by morning. One of your agents, a woman named Dahlia, not her real name, is embedded inside a financial network funneling resources to a hostile organization. She's been providing account numbers, transit routes, transfer dates. But lately, her reports have felt different, shorter, more cautious. You suspect she's being watched. The decision you make next, pull her out or push for one more delivery, could save her life or end it. This is the burden of the senior Katsa. You're playing human chess, and the pieces are people who trust you with everything. Now you're not just responsible for yourself, you're responsible for everyone. As a Rosh Tzevet, a team leader, you command a small operational cell tasked with executing missions that have been approved at the highest levels. Your team might be 4 people. It might be 12. Each one is a specialist. Surveillance, communications, logistics, direct action. And every single one of them is looking to you when the plan starts falling apart. Picture this. You're in a European capital. The objective is to intercept a shipment of materials bound for a weapons program in a hostile state. Your team has spent 3 weeks building the operation, monitoring routes, identifying vulnerabilities, establishing safe houses. But on the night of execution, the target changes vehicles. The route shifts. A security detail appears that wasn't in any intelligence briefing. You have 90 seconds to adapt. You reroute your surveillance team, reposition your intercept vehicle, and make a call to abort or proceed based on information that is incomplete and changing by the second. There is no handbook for this moment. There is only your training, your instinct, and the lives of your team members hanging on your judgment. When the operation succeeds, when the materials are secured and your team extracts without a trace, there's no medal ceremony, no press conference. You debrief in a sterile room, identify what went wrong, and begin preparing for the next one. The mission is the only reward. The operations board in front of you has 14 active cases spread across 3 continents. You're a Rosh Yehida now, a unit head, and you no longer touch the field. Your world is strategic. You decide which operations get resources, which assets are worth the risk, and which missions are shelved because the political fallout would outweigh the intelligence gain. It's a different kind of pressure. A team leader worries about the next 12 hours. You worry about the next 12 months. Every decision you make ripples outward, into diplomatic relationships, into alliances with foreign agencies, into the safety of dozens of operatives whose names you know by heart. And then there's the bureaucratic reality that no thriller novel ever mentions. Budget meetings, interagency rivalries, personnel disputes, and the constant tension between what the field needs and what leadership is willing to authorize. You sit in rooms with military generals and political advisors who have never or run an agent in their life, and you fight for operations you believe in. Sometimes you win. Sometimes a mission you know is critical gets killed by a single phone call from above. You learn to navigate that world without losing the instincts that got you here. Because the moment you forget what it feels like to sit across from a frightened asset in a foreign city, you've lost the thing that makes you effective. You no longer run missions. You decide which missions exist. As a Rosh Agaf, a division chief, you oversee an entire arm of the Mossad's operational structure. Collection, covert action, counter-proliferation, liaison. The division you lead might encompass hundreds of personnel and operations spanning a dozen countries. At this level, you are one of a small circle of people who see the full picture. How individual operations connect into larger strategic objectives. How a single recruited asset in one country feeds intelligence that prevents a catastrophe in another. You meet with the heads of allied services, CIA, MI6, BND, and those conversations happen in secure rooms where even the furniture is swept for surveillance devices. You authorize operations that, if exposed, would create international incidents. And you carry the knowledge that some of those operations involve extraordinary risk to human life. When a mission goes wrong at this level, when an operative is captured or an asset is compromised, the consequences extend far beyond the individuals involved. Diplomatic channels ignite. Allies demand explanations. The Prime Minister's office calls, and they are not calling to congratulate you. The weight of this chair is immense, but you've spent decades preparing for it, and the people beneath you depend on your steady hand. There is one chair in Israeli intelligence that answers only to the Prime Minister, and you're sitting in it. You are the Rosh HaMossad, the director. The scope of your responsibility is almost impossible to comprehend from the outside. Every covert operation, every intelligence assessment, every relationship with every foreign service, all of it flows through your office. You brief the Prime Minister personally, sometimes daily, on threats that the public will never know existed. A nuclear program accelerating in a hostile state, a planned attack on Israeli citizens abroad, a technological breakthrough by an adversary that could shift the balance of power in the region. You present options, you recommend courses of action, and when the Prime Minister looks at you and says proceed, the entire machinery of the Mossad moves on your word. But here's what few people understand about this role. It is profoundly lonely. You cannot discuss your work with almost anyone. The decisions you make, decisions that affect millions of lives, are carried in silence. Former directors have described it as a kind of invisible weight that never leaves, even after you step down. You think about the operatives in the field, the ones whose real names you know, and you understand that your signature on an authorization document may be the reason they come home, or the reason they don't. That is the ultimate cost of this chair, not power. Responsibility. From an anonymous cadet who couldn't even tell family where you worked, to the single individual trusted with Israel's deepest secrets, you've walked a path almost no one on earth will ever know. Every rank demanded something different. Patience, deception, courage, sacrifice, the ability to carry silence like a second skin. What the Mossad asks of its people isn't just professional, it's deeply personal. You give up parts of your identity, parts of your life, parts of the truth. And in return, you serve something larger than yourself, the security and survival of a nation that has faced existential threats since the day it was founded. That is not a career. That is a calling. If this deep dive into the Mossad resonated with you, subscribe for more explorations into elite military and intelligence ranks. Next, we're uncovering what it takes to climb every rank inside MI6's secret intelligence service.